Okay, good morning. So today we're here to talk about FME and non-spatial data. Again, my name is Dale Lutz, not Brian Mulrooney. I'm one of the founders of Safe Software. I've been here for almost 20 years, getting to be a long time, and I'm joined by my friend Aaron Koenig.
Hello there. Good morning.
Good morning, Aaron. Aaron is our FME Server product manager and likes to dabble with things non-spatial.
I have a degree in geography, but I like to just throw that away sometimes.
That's right. That's right. It's good to throw it away. Today we are not doing spatial stuff.
No.
If we show a map, we'll have failed.
Correct.
All right. So there's no maps. If you think you're expecting maps, you're at the wrong webinar.
That's right.
Right. So we are today joined by a couple of special guests, Daniel and Christopher from SYNCADD, and they're going to tune in at the end of the broadcast. So Aaron and I are going to show a number of things that are largely fictitious examples.
Yes.
So they are there to illustrate a point. They're illustrative.
Absolutely.
But at the end, you'll see that we're not just blowing black smoke, or white smoke.
Like the Pope they're trying to elect.
Right, right. We're not blowing smoke today, white or black. We are actually showing you things that are very useful. And I think when our friends from SYNCADD show you a couple of examples, you'll realize that it's not just for fun that these things can be done. They are deadly serious.
Absolutely. They're coming in about half past.
That's right. So if you don't want to listen to us, you can come back right at 8:30 or so. We'll just be wrapping up an exciting demo on Salesforce, food vendors, and Socrata.
Absolutely.
Yes. This morning we are joined by our good friend Mark Stokes, who always brings us these lard-based muffins.
Wow.
Looking forward to chewing into some of those. I might actually start that at half past when I'm not talking.
That's a good time.
Yes. So thanks, Mark, for that. He's there to answer questions, and he's joined today by Iris, who been at SAFE for about a year now or so?
At least a year,
maybe longer. Yeah. So thanks very much, Iris. Between the two of them, they'll be there to answer all your questions. So we're just about ready to get going. A couple of words about Safe Software. We've been around, as I mentioned, for almost 20 years, and we're in the business of making software that moves data from wherever it is to wherever you need it to be. And along the way, making sure that when you get it to where you need it to be, it is exactly in the most usable form.
Absolutely.
So that's what we exist to do. And to that end, we build this tool called FME, which people have forgotten that it stands for Feature Manipulation Engine, and that's the only time we ever mention that.
Pretty much.
It's on this slide, actually.
Yeah.
Where we say it powers the flow of spatial data. But we're not talking about spatial data today.
That's right.
So let's change that slide. Indeed, FME also can power the flow of data of all kinds. Doesn't have to be spatial.
It doesn't have to be a location point.
That's right. And we've never really sold FME in this way. Nope. And despite that, clever customers like Daniel and Chris have figured out that FME actually can be a killer app for moving non-spatial around too. And that's what we're hoping to show you today.
We will.
Yes. So again, FME transforms data so you can use it, you can share it. You do that by converting, transforming, and integrating. And here's all the different kinds of data that we support. And we're not talking about any of those except for one. Which one?
Non-spatial.
That's right. So if you're here to hear us talk about, well, actually, you're going to talk a little bit about cloud.
Cloud. You look at database. We're going to do a bit of that.
That's true.
XML. I think we voted off the island. You'll see that later, perhaps.
That's true. It's sort of these three in the bottom right corner.
But we're not doing point cloud in 3D. Let's just
no, we're just not. So if you thought, or Catergy has any of those things, if you thought you were tuning into a webinar and that, well, you're not. So let's go to the next one. And we do this in FME by giving you a very, we think, easy-to-use tool called Workbench that lets you draw the flow of data from wherever it is to wherever you need it to be and do something along the way. In this case, it was creating labels for a map.
Yeah, new functionality for this release.
But we're not showing that today either.
No, not at all.
No. So that's Workbench. Now, in today's webinar, we aren't going to spend a lot of time on the basics of FME. Right. We're going to basically jump right in and start doing some stuff. And so if some of you are brand new, thanks for tuning in. What I really recommend is that you use either of these two links to get a little more background. Tomorrow morning, our friend Craig Vernon, and do you know who else, Steve McCabe or somebody?
I believe it's Steve, yeah.
They'll be hosting a webinar introducing FME from base principles. And if you don't have time to wait for that, you can go to this Getting Started page and use some resources there as well.
Absolutely.
So that's if you're brand new, keep these things in mind, and that'll help you. But I think now we're pretty much ready to jump right in. Oh,
poll time.
All right.
So the first poll up here, how much of your data is non-spatial? So we're going to give you a few options here.
All right. So we're looking for how much is non-spatial, and you can only pick one choice, and Let's
We can
see.
see the results here.
Okay. Wow.
We'll show them in a second here, but it looks like 100% is not a common case here.
Very few of you never deal with maps, and that's not too surprising because this is an FME audience. Look at that. 20% of the data is non-spatial. Wow, that's and yes. All right.
I think we can probably close.
All right, let's close the poll and share these results. So there they are. So
it's looking like we were saying, not many people with exclusively non-spatial data, but 50% in the quarter range there.
That's right. And so if you look at that, I know James Fee recently posted a blog saying that this idea that we have that 80% of all data is spatial.
Right.
And where did this number come from? Well, James, it looks like we've proven it today because the highest choice here was at the 20% mark.
That's
the most of the people said that 20% of the data is not spatial, meaning that 80% of the data is spatial, scientifically proven here today. James Fee, put that in your pipe and smoke it, white or black smoke.
That's right. You can't beat internet science.
That's right. So that's good to know. Lots of you are dealing with non-spatial data, and you're in the right webinar. Well, why would you consider using FME for non-spatial? What things come to your mind, Darren? I mean, I know there's a set of things here.
I like to write Perl code to do all of my data transformation. But,
right, but you bill out at a high rate, so we can't have you doing that.
That's right. It really is. It's easier to maintain. It's graphical. It's quick to configure. You have a whole plethora of tools there available. You don't have to invent tools.
Yes. And since very few of you said you only deal with non-spatial, the fact that we can handle all the complexity of spatial at the same time in one tool is a good selling point.
It's a consistent methodology, I'd say.
And don't get us started on formats.
Oh.
Because there's lots. Now, these are some things we're not going to talk about today. FME can do some transformations as data moves through that often can do what we call spatialized non-spatial.
Right.
But we're not talking about any of that today. So, for example, we're not talking about how you can take an attribute table that had maybe an X and Y and make points out of that. So
I like to do the 2D point replacer. I know we're not talking about it, but that's what I would use in that case.
Right. And also, if you wanted to string those together into lines, you could do, if we were talking about it, we would do the point connector.
We could point connect, or we could geocode if we had an address as well.
That's right. We're working, there's a lot of web services. We're working with our friends at Esri and also at Pitney Bowes to integrate some geocoders. That way, we have inside of FME a DMTI one here in Canada, Proxix. So, but we're not talking about geocoding either. That would be something if you would want to, and this was a spatial webinar we could talk about.
Yeah.
And we could also reproject attributes, but we aren't talking about that either.
No.
Okay, so those are all the things we're not talking about.
Not today.
We are talking about some formats, though. This is a graph of FME's formats over time. There's a lot of them.
Wow, 303.
Yes, that's sort of an arbitrarily made number, but
it keeps going up. That's a lot of formats.
Yes, but in particular, here is a set of interesting formats that we are looking at. These are ones that are able to do non-spatial.
Right. I see JSON is a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
XML, I think, Don's not around, so
Don's not in yet.
We can pass by that.
So we don't have to talk about it. If he comes in, we may have to check it. We can see in the parking lot when he comes in, we may do something. But just old-fashioned text files. Excel is always a popular one. Column line text.
And then all of the database formats, SQL Server, Oracle.
Yes, yes. So lots of formats to choose from. Okay. Ooh, so let's go back to the polls here and find out what non-spatial. People are allowed to vote more than once. Vote early and vote often.
So we've got new data types here.
Yes, we've invented some.
Cloudy,
which
I'm partial to. We've got corporate. Hipster.
Hipster so far being shut out.
Hipster, unbelievably shut out. Is that option disabled, perhaps?
Yeah. Thanks. Some sympathy votes coming in.
Sympathy votes.
Okay.
Office and old school. Yeah.
So lots of folks on the corporate side.
Office is big. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what we thought. And
we were talking yesterday about Excel really being the non-spatial shapefile, if you will.
Yes, that was. I thought that was quite a clever analogy. So we'll wait until we tip over the scales here. I'm holding on for 80% of turnout.
Oh,
okay, there we go. So let's share those results. So there you have it, folks. So what do we got there? The cloud. Not a lot of people.
Not a lot of people into the cloud yet.
Sorry, Aaron. I know those are your demos. But,
you know what? That's. I'm not sure.
Well, for that matter, Hipster. There's not a lot of hipsters out there either.
But corporate, no surprise there. I'd say a lot of Oracle. But Office, really Access and Excel, it's going to
Yeah,
be huge
yeah,
for
yeah. And
people.
actually, I think Chris is talking about access at the end.
Very good.
So that's great. All right, well, let's move on then. And let's talk old school.
All right, let's go there.
So this, if you've been around SAFE for a while, you've heard us talk birds and eggs. And I think I'm going to start this. We got a file that's called a CAD or column aligned text that has where our eggs are.
Yeah.
And we got our species there that are, it's unfortunate. This is really old school. It's all uppercase.
I see that. It's that some sort of enforced.
Yes.
I don't like the display of that, but
Yeah, okay. Notice how I used the old VT220 amber
I
for
thought
old
that was a
school.
throwback, actually.
Yeah, I did a lot. A lot of my best programming was done on a screen like that.
Ah.
So I still run VI like that today, actually. So let's go and let's make a DBF file out of that since we're doing old school.
Let's do it.
And what we want to do is get the number of eggs as well as the average incubation for each one. So let's go and there we are. And we're looking at our eggs and our nest. So let's drag, how we do it is we just drag files onto Workbench. And there's my comma separated value. I think that my file has field names.
So configuring the Workbench to read.
No, it isn't. What am I doing? I'm rattled. This isn't CSV.
No, it's cat, actually.
That's right. Whoa.
Column aligned text.
Yes. And now that I knew something was up. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. So here we can see how to split this thing. Okay.
I was actually surprised at how easy it is to split up one of these files.
Yeah, it is. You just kind of click in there, and boy, like that, we're pretty much done. And there's, if we wanted to, we could fiddle with the field types, but we're okay today. And so there's our cat, and the cat came back. It's good. All right. And so then the other thing we wanted to do was drag out a CSV onto there. And let's just do that. And now this one is CSV.
It's the species coming in.
And looking good. We got nests, and there we go. There's, yeah, IDs. All right. And so there we go. And one thing that I didn't like was that they were all uppercase. And so I'm going to show something new in FME. So let's pop down an attribute. Here's how we add things into our workspace. And these transformers are all over here, and you can look at them and drag them out. I'm going to fiddle with attributes. And in particular, I'm going to reset the species using a new bit of functionality. And I should mention, I'm running FME 2013 SP1, which is brand spanking new.
Next week, I think it's
it's locked
Tuesday.
down right now. And so one of the things that's in there is a whole bunch of string functions that we can just do at any time at all while we're concatenating and so on. So I'm going to, what was it, full title case. I wanted to title case these babies. So I double click that. That puts out that function as I'm building a string expression, and I want that done in the species. And so, I could put other attributes in here, but right now I'm just using this as a quick way to do that. And I'm going to attach.
I sure wish I could see what the result is.
Right, and a common thing when you're working with FME is to connect inspect. Oh, I did the wrong thing there. Connect inspectors. I just want to do a connect of an inspector, and then I'm going to run this thing. And this is showing off some of our new functionality, which is a table view. So yes, this is the data inspector. I've got rid of all the other windows, only showing the table view. And so here we see, and look, don't you like to look at those species?
Yeah, it's much more legible, easier to see. And that is a new functionality that right in the attribute creator, the ability to do uppercase, lowercase,
yes.
And all these new functions.
And now I've hopped into the data inspector and seeing the results. And you know what? We can search for stuff too. So if we search for SAP, look at, there's a yellow-bellied sapsucker in there, and if anybody remembers the game that was part of, do you remember?
I've been called that before.
The yellow-bellied sapsucker. You can also sort in here too. So that's kind of a new thing. And there's only one yellow-bellied sapsucker in there.
That's unique.
And we also have the cat output, and here we go. And these are the our nests and eggs and stuff. So that's all working. And what I wanted to do, I'm not going to build a whole workspace because we do have to leave time to talk to our friends. So I'm going to actually get the egg stats workspace up here, which is very similar to what you were showing, what I was showing. What I do is I do that, and then I merge these by joining together the two streams of data on the nest ID.
So you're getting the species onto those eggs, really.
Yes, exactly. And then I'm running a stats calculator, which kind of does like a pivot table. I'm saying group this by species, and let's do some analysis of the incubation eggs. How many eggs were there, and what was their average incubation? And then I'm going out to old school DBF. So if I run this, again, it'll pop up those same inspectors, but more interestingly, I can right-click and see my answers by asking to inspect that output DBF. There it is, DBF. Nice to work with DBF, really. And there it is. So here's really my pivot table in DBF. And boy, it looks like the average is about 7 days-ish. Across all these species.
Wow.
If I didn't know better, I'd wonder if this data was faked. But
I would say it may be very well.
It might well be, but we won't.
So what we've shown really is the ability to take two different types of formats, bring them together, clean them up, join them together, and then inspect it along the way.
Yeah. So let's now take a look at some Office data. And to that end, we're going to go to the Vancouver Open Data Catalog, and I could click this and look, and right in there they have business licenses, and it's refreshed regularly. It's a FTP link to get it. I did download it prior, so this is what it looks like. It's a lot of records here, but the one thing that I find interesting is that they've lumped in all of the, no matter what the status, it's all in one sheet. And
okay, so you have to do some filtering to determine what's pending and what's inactive.
Yes, right.
It's kind of
and I also noticed that there's a lot of guys who don't seem to have paid fees. And so what I was wondering is, you know, we might want to do something to this, and let's just take a look what we say we're going to do. We're going to reorganize this thing by separating into each tab. We're going to take that whole thing and make a new spreadsheet where there's tabs for each license state. We're going to create a summary tab so we can find out a little bit about what's going on in the whole thing, throw that in there. And you know what? I'm going to make a brand new Excel file at the same time with just the ones that I think are suspect that I'll send back to the back office.
If I was a citizen in Vancouver, I'd want to see that file.
Yes. Well, if you're from Vancouver, your wishes are about to become true. Here we go. Here's the look of this workspace. Okay, so we're reading the businesses, and this is what I do want to point out. We're being pretty fancy here because we're reading these. Not only are they in a zip file, but yes, we are reading them from an FTP site directly.
So live.
We're reading it live. So we're going to haul it down from Vancouver, read it, and we're going to calculate. I'm going to start this running while we're chatting. We're going to calculate stats on it, much like we did for those birds. We're going to do the group on status and look at the fee paid.
What's the average fee paid?
Yes, and how many did we get? And we're going to put that out to, this is a sheet inside of my license summary that's going to have these attributes. So, you know, that's going to go into one sheet. And this other sheet is going to be, we're calling it fan out by status. That means we're getting a different tab for every value of status.
Okay, so pending in one, inactive in another.
And I did remove, if you look really closely, there's a yellow on this status, meaning that I'm not using it when I'm writing it out, because I don't need to write it out because it's all on its own sheet. And we're busy grinding. And then, and then here's the ones, I'm doing a test here using some new testing technology that says, look at, if the status is issued, and if I trim the fee paid and I have nothing. So in other words, I remove, that's an example of me doing a function while I'm testing.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing. If both those are true, if they're and, when I did this first I had or, and you don't get the right result when you do or. But I want and, look at that, there's 8 of them that are suspect. So let's go back to Excel, it's all ran fine. And let's go back to Excel. And you know what, I did open these recently. So let's take a look at there's the ones that these guys got themselves a license. And actually, I think I even sorted these by the date issued. So the most recent guys are at the top since you strike wire while the kettle is hot or whatever. No,
right.
The kettle isn't hot.
Well,
kettle could be hot, but we don't strike it when it's hot. You watch it boil. But so you can see these guys, and we have all the info on them. And I'm curious why they don't pay a fee.
Yeah, there's an electrical contractor in there got a license for.
So it's all public information. Peter Funk. Peter Funk, I know Peter Funk, actually.
Get out of here.
That's hilarious.
Is that a musician?
Hi, Peter. No, he's the guy that framed my house.
Did you get a good deal, Dale?
Well, that's Peter. What are you doing, man? I'm going to have to find out why he hasn't paid his license fee.
I'm going to consult him.
That's kind of hilarious. Okay,
so let's see the.
Whoa, I'm rattled here. What am I looking for? The license summary.
Yeah.
We won't find Peter Funk in here, it looks like. So if you can see at home, we have tabs here for inactive. Here's the ones that are pending, and here's the ones that are issued. And so it's nicely split out, really nicely organized.
So I can just work on the pending if I want. I don't have to worry about it.
And here's a nice little summary. and we can get the number of each ones, and here's their averages. It feels like the inactive guys tend. I'm not sure what that means. Why they're still paying fees?
Feel like they're overpaying, but
they are overpaying. And the pending, well, the issued guys are the most, so that's the main thing. So anyway, a quick Excel to Excel. Oh, I got to get rid of Excel here. So let's just kill Excel. I don't want to save this. And that was it. So that was an Office example.
Yep.
Ooh, the Hipster example.
This is the one, and it really is Hipster because there's only about 2 or 3, so that.
Yeah, but we'll go through this pretty fast since people don't really care. We threw JSON and XML into there.
Yes.
And if you care about XML, we're not talking about it today.
Sorry.
Because there's lots of resources on SAFE's website, but we know that only 2% of you, and only then when you were sort of guilted into voting, cared.
It's pretty sad.
So we do work with JSON quite a bit, and the interesting thing is to use JSON for web services. And so for this one, we decided to, what's a non-spatial web service? Lots of web services that are spatial, but a web service that actually checks my car, which is parked out there. And I know that it might be a little bit of a charged issue, whether you have an electric car or not, but sorry, folks, I do have one. I do like it, but I know that there's nothing wrong with any kind of car. I'm not biased about this. But we're going to use a web service that reads my car's status, and then we're going to explode the JSON and check if charging is needed. And if it is needed, we'll send me an email.
That's right.
And if it isn't needed, we'll honk the horn. So let's go out here and bring up that workspace. I'm not going to save that. Charge me Tesla. So just to get a sense how you do this, you use the HTTP transformers. In this case, we're using the target to log in first to the website. Then we fetch all the vehicles that I own, which is exactly 1. Flatten that JSON out. And this is where it gets interesting. Here's where we fetch the charge state. And then we use a JSON flattener to take that charge state and expose for us the battery level and range. And then once we have that, we're going to do a little test, and we're going to say basically if the battery level is less than the charge threshold, we need charging. Otherwise, we're good.
And we get to define that charge.
That's right. The charge threshold is a parameter. That's what that notation means. And if it needs charging, we're going to send me an email, and FME can do that through FME Server.
Right. Yep.
And if we
otherwise, we're going to honk the car horn.
So let's run this first. Here we go. And let's say that I'm going to say that we'll need charging if it's less than 30% charged. And so we're going to run this. And, okay, it's busy grinding there. To listen, we're going to get very quiet here to hear if it's going to honk the horn. Oh, did you hear that? There it is.
There it is. Wow.
Okay, so, and if we look here, yep, it did honk the horn. And right, so that means we don't need charging. Now, if I run this again, actually,
we should be able to see the actual value there. You got a logger.
I did have a logger an inline logger. So do you see battery anywhere? Here we go.
There we go.
Ooh, it's drawing. It's actually drawing current right now, which is not so.
Are your lights on? Or?
No, but probably the horn honking.
It's that fancy horn.
So anyway, the battery level is at 85% charged. I charged it up overnight. So let's run this baby again. And this time, let's say we need to charge this pig if it's less than 90%. That's a bit aggressive, but
you can never be too cautious.
And it's going to do its thing, and we'll watch what happens. Okay, it's busy there.
Oh, it went out the email port.
Okay, so now we got to check if I got an email, and oh, that's foreshadowing. Let's see. Come on. There we go. A charging alert. Okay, the battery level is at 85%. It says, hey, buddy, charge your car. The battery is only at 85% of full charge, which should get you another 217.7 miles.
Wow. Cheers,
Elon Musk.
Oh, he's a nice guy.
He's a good guy to send me an email like that. So this proves we're hip, and we can do things with web services.
Unbelievable.
All non-spatial.
Car with a rest
We didn't want to make a map of where the car was.
No.
No.
Well, I could see it. But.
Okay, so corporate stuff. Yes, FME can do all kinds of things with corporate databases, and we've got a sampling of them here. In talking to folks, there's a lot of SQL Server out in the world. There's a lot of Oracle. Any in here that
Postgres is? I started with Postgres. Keeps on ticking. Ingress, I think we've
There's a new member in FME.
Yeah.
Teradata in there for large corporate databases.
Yeah, really taking off.
Almost everyone, in fact, indeed, every one of these has a spatial side to them.
Yes. Yeah.
But we're not talking about that today.
No.
So we're going to demo something here where we're going to update Oracle with results from a SQL Server query. And this is a bit stressful. So I'm going to first go and open an Oracle. Let's see, Oracle.
So we've got two databases here. We're going to be updating one of the databases, and we want it to, the other one to kind of synchronize. And so that's what
Right. So I'm going to look at this first. I've got a table here called neighborhood heritages.
Okay.
That's a mouthful. It's a It's basically a summary of the values I've read from Oracle. We've got 4 features. Come on, baby. And there we have the average value of and what neighborhood code it's in, what the neighborhood is, and the number of properties. I can sort it, of course. So let's sort it like that. And this is what's in my Oracle database right now.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is go out here, and I'm not going to save that. And I'm going to update the Oracle from this. Okay, so I'm going to use what's called a SQL creator. And we'll pop this open. This is one way, if you're a SQL person, and a lot of you are non-spatial people on this, you can do this sort of stuff. I'm going to go out here and execute this kind of a SQL statement. So I'm selecting the average land value as this by joining together a bunch of stuff, the property tax tables, the address tables, and the heritage sites know the addresses. The addresses are related to the tax records, and then I got the neighborhood codes as well that I'm grouping this all by. So it's an interesting aggregating SQL statement. And whenever I'm doing SQL, I have all this stuff available.
As well as this.
I can get the online reference. If I click on that, it's bringing up help somewhere. That's all good. And so that lets me do that. And then I get in here these results, which I put through FME. And one thing I'm doing here is checking if the neighborhood code is blank.
Right.
Because we can't, we don't like that. That, in fact, is an error. And I'm going to log that. And now I'm running it into, what I'm doing here is a SQL executor where I'm actually written my own update statement. I haven't done one of these in years. And it was fun to do an update statement after all this time. So I'm updating my table inside of Oracle. And so should we be so bold as to go ahead and run this?
Let's go for it.
So we're pushing, in this case, work down to SQL. 5 things came through. Let's see.
One of them was invalid, obviously.
Right.
Filtered out.
Right, and we could probably even take a peek at that in here because we did log it. Oh yeah, there it is. So this one has no neighborhood.
Right.
So there's a null neighborhood floating around, and
there's some properties there, but nobody knows where they belong
there'd
to.
be an opportunity for someone, perhaps.
Actually, maybe your friend Peter Funk.
Yes. Boy, my voice is going to go. I only got one more demo.
Only one left. But really, you're showing ability to synchronize 2 databases.
Yes.
Do some filtering.
Right. So what we should do now is reopen that same Oracle table in a new tab. Here we go. With luck, these numbers are different.
Yes.
So, okay, Mount Pleasant. Let's go look in here. We're going to flip between here. So Mount Pleasant has 1 at 19.9, and now what is it? Oh, it changed.
Okay.
And I'm relieved to see that. So 723 on the bottom row for downtown. Yep. 725, and it changed as well. So proving. So we just did, and we've done webinars. There's an entire course on using
spatial databases and non-spatial. Either way, really.
Yes. Yeah. So here we go, and that was it. So Aaron, I think we're live to go to the cloudy one. Where we're going to look at some Salesforce, Socrata, some cloud services, all non-spatial. These are a handful of ones that we thought we saw, and so this is what you say you're going to do.
Absolutely.
So what are you going to do? You're going to publish the data.
I've got some food vendors that I've loaded into Salesforce. There are accounts in there.
Yes.
Let's take a look at those.
All right.
What we're going to do is actually pull those out, and we're gonna free that data. We're going to open that data up to the public. However.
Ooh. Okay. So here's some interesting cuisine inside the Salesforce.
Yes, we have, and these are the names of the accounts as we've given them. But there are some.
These are called named accounts.
These are named accounts. We've got the info coming as kind of like a blank, an unknown. We want to filter that out. We don't want to provide that as an
right, because you don't want to put that in Socrata.
Exactly. So that's where we are.
Can we take a look at your Socrata just to prove you're not faking me?
It's blank right now. We've got properties here, but we're going to add a new table, which is food vendors.
Ooh, okay.
Share
so
that out.
Should I go and find the
so
workspace?
Bold. Open that.
Let's get rid of this. And food vendors. Here we go. Food vendors,
there we go.
Salesforce to Socrata. Talk us through, Aaron.
Really, I can hit run and we can let that run. But basically, we're taking the Salesforce data. We're coming in here. We're doing some filtering because if it says info coming, we need to kick that over to
We need that.
somebody who will deal with that.
You're putting it old. You're going old school there.
Absolutely.
And,
CSV is so light and easy, right? Kind of
yeah.
like Excel. We'll give that to somebody to fix. Otherwise, we're going to do some schema reformatting because we didn't want to call it name and account number and description. We want more friendly attribute names when we go to
For our Socrata data sharing service.
exactly. And so we got 23 that went out there, and let's go and take a look and see
now
what we ended up with.
You have to hit refresh.
A little refresh will get us a long way here.
We're nervous. Oh, I'm
never fear, never fear. Here we are, and for some reason the info came across. I must have done something.
Okay, so much for that.
Didn't work, but let's go back to the workspace and see. 7 of them. So there must be an uppercase, lowercase,
yes,
or a space.
Yes.
So we could do a lot more trimming of the white space.
Right. So we could use those techniques that we had. Well, we're into overtime.
That's right.
You know what we might do is while our guests are speaking, maybe you and I will fiddle that, and we can come back to this.
Ooh, that would be a kind of a
we
nice
could show that. So anyway, that's how it works, and I like
really,
it. Bubba Gum Shrimp.
This is all cloudy stuff, so there's no local data other than the
That's
CSV
right. It was
file.
very easy when I got the workspace from you. There was no data that I needed to have.
Yeah, and you had my password too. I have to remove that.
That's true. So anyway, that's it. So that's our quick tour through 5 different areas of non-spatial, and it's all been sort of for fun, and hopefully it's tweaked your interest into what things you can do. But now I'd like to hand it over to our friends that are remote, Daniel and Christopher, that are from SYNCADD. Okay, so over to our friends. Where are you guys located anyway?
So we're in Alexandria, Virginia, just outside D.C.
Okay, well, take it away.
Hi, I'm Danny Riddle. I'm a GIS specialist with SYNCADD. We have Chris Carl. He's a software developer. So the first project that we did was kind of going in between spatial and non-spatial, and it involved using a FME server to upload user data in a variety of spatial formats, but we're really interested in metadata, attributes and things of that nature. So we wanted to validate that using some of the government standards and export that into spreadsheets. We would have manipulated the data ourselves, but there's some data control, data access issues that we couldn't actually manipulate it. So next slide. So we did is we developed some custom transformers, and some of the transformers that you've actually seen Dale use earlier in the slideshow. The readers we used were schema readers, Esri stuff, and some SDE geodatabases. So here's some screenshots. We used a variety of methods, and one of the reasons we used FME was that because we wanted to allow users to update these, since standards, obviously they change, through time, and writing code was just not going to be the most cost-effective method. So any user can go into these and change one of the users. So we used a variety of testers. Next slide. So here's an example of some of the reports that we generated. So they came from the geospatial data, and we outputted them with Excel spreadsheets. So the users were able to actually download this through our FTP server from FME Server, and they were able to review it and actually join some of that spatial data and non-spatial data to make their corrections. So that's kind of what we did. That was the non-spatial and geospatial world colliding. What Chris is going to talk about really is completely non-spatial.
Hi everyone. Can you hear us okay? I think we might have an echo. All right, I'll just continue here. So yeah, for this project, what we're working on is completely non-spatial. It's in the Microsoft Access ETL process that's been maintained over a number of years. It is just a regular transformation process, taking data every quarter out of one database, importing it, and using it in another database. And it's really just been, there are so many workarounds and other little things that have been changed in this process that only really one guy who maintains the Access database really knows everything that's going on. And you have to go into the SQL code and go into all of these steps of scripts inside this Access database to really have any idea. And then just trusting that data that comes out of that and the QA/QC of that is extremely difficult. And that is something that we're working on, and just evaluating and documenting the entire process, and then trying to reproduce it in something that can be maintained and understood by a larger group. So I took this on, and we're using FME to do this. And the main reason is just to get those visual diagrams out there and get all the steps organized into custom transformers, and then to visualize all of that, and then visualize the QA/QC as well, to actually add the testers in there and to be able to say, here's an inspector, here are the values, here's the results that are coming out. And to do that in a way that we can just sit down, on a screen share like this and just show it to everyone that has a question. Next slide, please. So this is just before. I don't expect you to actually read this or understand this at all. This is just nice, messy SQL query that we had in Microsoft Access. And there's a lot going on here. It's moving different things around. It's putting data and unioning it back together. And Microsoft Access doesn't do a good job of formatting the SQL, so it's even easy to read. And they want you to use their design view, which is confusing. So there's no way that our business experts, our subject matter experts, or even a lot of our data analysts, have any idea what this is really doing. Again, only the person that wrote this and maintains this can really explain it. So if we move to the next slide. So this is after. This is essentially doing the same thing that big blob of SQL was doing. And I can explain it now that I have a picture here. So the data is coming in. We're identifying different scenarios in the data, different cases. This is where one value is there and the other value is missing, and different combinations of that. And the quick explanation is we have a primary measurement and a secondary measurement, but the primary and secondary don't really mean anything in the data that are coming in. They're just randomly populated, at least from our perspective. So we need to figure out what they are, and then make primary something that's meaningful. We want, so we want to move an area measurement into primary, and we want to move capacity measurements. So that's area is like square footage. So this is building facility data. So we'll move the area data into primary, and we move the secondary capacity information, number of people that can fill that space, into secondary. We have to identify all these cases where we need to swap these values around, and that's where all these links are doing. You're swapping different values. You can see this is a custom transformer, and then we have additional custom transformers linked inside of this to actually handle the swapping of the different values, and then we add a flag onto it, flag attribute, just to say this is something we've updated, and this is the scenario that we updated it for, so that later on we can run the quality checks to see if by swapping these values we introduced artifacts into the data. All right, so I guess next slide, please. So one way we can do some of the checking of the data is to use that FME data inspector that Dale showed earlier. That really makes it easy to just do that on the fly. You can add that in. You can add inspection points as well. And I think that really helps when you're sitting down and discussing these workflows with the rest of your team. You can jump in and say, okay, we see this link here. We're excluding these 50 values, and we want to see what they are and take a look and figure out why they're being caught by this business rule that says if this value is null, we don't want it, or things like that. So we're doing a lot of that here throughout this process. We're checking the data. We're dropping things that we don't want because they're bad. We're merging a couple data sets together, and then we're cleaning them up, and even aggregating the data to sum up those measurements based on a group by clause, and then passing it on to the next step. So this is something you would do in a relational database. There's a where clause, there's a join, there's a group by, and there's some renaming of attributes. but this is all done in a visual way where we can jump in and look at the little pieces. And then the other idea that we had with this that everyone really likes is we can take these custom transformers, once we've run them with these numbers on the links, print them out, put them in a notebook, and then the next quarter when we run this import process again, we do the same thing, and then someone can sit down side by side with a red marker and say, okay, this value looks like it's really different. This doesn't make sense. We shouldn't have this, and actually just compare each time visually on paper, and that's something that people really like. They can get in and take their time with it and understand the process that way. Next slide, please. So this is just a screenshot of Data Inspector again, where I've gone in and pulled some of this data to evaluate it. So I think you've seen this already. But this is extremely helpful to be able to come in and do this. And then we can also do things like just export the data directly to Excel at that point, and give that to someone that needs to take that back and evaluate it. So just the ability to go in and just drop it to Excel and get that out to someone. So that's the project, and I think it's really taking a lot of what would normally be relational database operations and bringing them out into this to visualize it. So Dale, I'll hand it back to you.
Okay, well, thanks very much. And if we've managed to come back, we did know that there was an echo while you were talking, so we muted ourselves on this side. My wife says I should talk 20% less, and so this was a good opportunity to put that into practice. But no, I just wanted to thank you very much. I noticed on the previous slide, if I go there, one thing I wanted to compliment you on was the fact that you rename all of your transformers, which acts like self-documentation, and so we thought that was a really good thing to do.
Good practice.
Good practice. So well done with that. We also thought it was really interesting that you run it in the Workbench, remember these numbers, and then use that as a comparison later on. I've never actually heard of that before, but it's a really, really good idea. So
it's not something we've explicitly put out there, but wow.
Yeah,
very
really good.
Innovative, yeah.
So anyway, thanks very, very much for showing that to us and sharing with the group what you've done. It's very, very impressive and well done.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back on our side. Whoops! Before we do the summary, Aaron, we have a couple of minutes.
Let's go back.
And let's go back because we promised to do a little bit of, and actually, Chris, I think made mention of using feature inspection and so on, and we just aren't happy that our Socrata didn't work the way we wanted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to engage feature inspection here.
Oh.
Wait, I think I want it on this side. I want to know, I'm going to stop here and take a look when we're running. So let's add an inspection point. And let's just see what's going on. Why are we getting some info things coming through there? So actually, I'll add an inspection point here too. So let's add one there and there. And I'm going to run with inspection.
So we've seen inspectors, we've seen loggers. This is kind of a third way of
right. So I hit that little button with a microscope. And okay, there it stopped. And
notice there's no map.
So there's no map. That's right. We don't want that. In fact, I could get rid of that geometry if I could. So here's one that's going through, and it's the Bubba Gump, which I remember was the first one.
Yeah.
And now I never stepped to the next inspection point. So let's just keep going. And so here's one that says the info is coming.
So that makes sense. It's basically saying that one needs to go off to a CSV file, and someone needs to deal with that.
Right.
But if we keep going,
no, it went the wrong way. That orange means where we are.
Okay.
So why is that the case? So we're gonna have to. So it's info coming with like that.
So perhaps there's an extra character in there.
Well, let's keep looking. If we look at the next one, there's another info coming. They're all going that way. I want to see if we can get. Oh, there's one that stopped there. Oh,
it is a case sensitivity issue.
It's a case issue. So
I think we can deal with that.
We can. So notice, folks, we just are not running the whole thing. We're using inspection, but I'm going to say enough is enough.
Enough. We've seen it.
And I'm going to get rid of this so I have a little more room. And now we know the problem. Now there's many ways to skin the cat, But you know what I'm going to try is some new Shelley technology, as we call it. I'm going to open the string editor, and this hasn't been tried before, but I'm going to try, never tried this, but what if we push this thing to uppercase?
Actually, or a title case would work as well. A sentence case, if we have that. I'm not sure we do.
Title case, that's full title case would do.
Full title case should do it.
There, and now I just need to take this and cut it and put it in here, getting rid of those angle brackets. So basically I'm going to change, before I'm doing the test, I'm going to force these guys, oh, but then I better change this.
That's right. Otherwise we'll end up with kind of the opposite situation.
Right. And so we've done that, and so I'm going to run with inspection again.
I'm expecting 17 through here.
Is that what you think should
happen? That's what should happen.
Okay, it's thinking. So it must be working. Oh, it's got to connect to Salesforce each time.
That's right.
So there's Bubba Gump. We remember him. And info coming is going down the bottom deck. So that's good news. Let's kill that. Let's get this. Let's go ahead and run this. Having done a small bit of patch up, patch up in there. Nice that we can right click and say attach a summary annotation as well, so that we always remember what that was. So we, I like that, the ability to do a little fiddle in the test. That's a great thing. So I think it's done.
We got 12 through, so maybe my numbers were off, but let's go to Socrata.
There's 18 that are no good. So let's go back to Socrata. What do we do? Go back one?
Back, yep. And if we refresh, the way I've set up this workspace is it writes a new one each time, I believe. I could be wrong, though. It looks like it's only going to write one.
Nope. So what did we do wrong?
Let's go back to that workspace here.
Oh, it might have been a pending. So what if we, how do we trash this guy? Can we delete him?
Yeah, if you hit the back button, there's a little drop-down arrow in Socrata there. See that? Yeah, delete that.
Delete that guy.
Yeah. And now if we run it through again, it should give us a new table.
Right, because I think we were probably a pending.
Probably a pending, yeah.
So, and we're going. I miss my log, Nothing's as exciting as watching the log roll by. There we go.
It's pretty impressive going from 2 different cloud services. It's, brokering the different amount of time.
Here we go. And now we're really hoping not to see info coming. Yes! All right, so our escutcheon remains unsullied. And so there we go. Works with a small bit of tuning to the workspace. And we notice that we're putting out 18 things. A lot of info coming with respect to the food in Vancouver.
Peter Funk is busy in all industries.
That's right. Looks like it. So, during the break there when Daniel and Christopher were talking, we did find out that our first time we did the poll question on the non-spatial, it was a single select. So no wonder nobody went for Hipster. So now I'm going to ask you, this time you can choose many. Tell us again, we're almost done after you've seen what you've seen today. What
can I pick cloudy twice? Is that possible? Or
well, now that you mentioned it, some people are voting for cloud.
Oh, that's nice. That is okay. It's up and down. Office, huge though. I mean, look at the numbers.
Yes.
You'll see them in a second.
So this means basically the first time we basically got people's first choice.
Yes.
And the second time people are able to vote. This is like a single transferable ballot.
Yes.
Or proportional representation where you don't have to. It's not first past the post like the other one was. But Office still takes it. This time with a landslide. So I think we're going to call that
I think so.
That good, and we're going to share those results. And this time you can see
pretty similar results, although the Hipster and the Cloudy come up a bit.
Yes.
Most people pick corporate and Office as their first choice, but old school has made a resurgence.
I'm wondering now that people know they can toot the horn of my car that they wanted to do that.
It's gone beyond Hipster. It's now trending.
Yes, it's trending. Okay, that's what we'll have to do next time. It's trending. So anyway, thank you for that, folks, and we'll go back out here. So just to kind of wrap up, and then we'll look at some of the questions.
Yeah.
I'm always excited to watch the questions. So don't let the spatial scare you, folks. If you're thinking FME is just for spatial, think again, because really it turns out that spatial isn't
really that special.
It isn't special. And if you can do spatial, you darn well sure can do non-spatial.
Absolutely.
And FME really is a pretty powerful non-spatial machine. Hopefully you've seen that. You can get at the SQL if you're someone who dreams in SQL or standard query language or SQL, however you want to say it. You can still do that. There's lots of tools in FME for that, but you can also just use the workflow. Like certainly Chris showed some definite examples where the sequel didn't give me the
Ooh,
love.
that was scary.
That was scary sequel. So a lot scarier than Spatial even.
It's a lot like code basically at that point.
When you're down to that, you're writing code, and I know you're a Perl guy, but
yeah.
But so anyway, one thing we didn't show was the fact that you can do all this stuff on FME Server as well.
Absolutely, and that's the thing that really excites me is you can take these workflows, push them up to a server, and then you can kick them off in a number of automated ways. You can have a schedule, so this happens every day, perhaps, to sync your databases, like the corporate example. Or there's some really new new in the last couple of years functionality where you can email FME Server with some data file, or just tell it that you want a certain transformation to occur, and it can take, it could do that Salesforce to Socrata a translation when you emailed it, or if a new file dropped into a directory, that could automatically be translated. And again, it could be spatial, non-spatial. It works either way. So
right.
Really,
so now I've just published that workspace.
Oh wow!
Up to FME Server, and I think I can get onto it here. So now I'm running on FME Server, and I'm going to go in.
And this is in the cloud. This is on Amazon's web services.
So I can run that. Let's see. Here's the fun for Tesla, and here's the charge me Tesla, and I can configure it, and it remembers the defaults.
Yeah.
So let's run that workspace up on server. And so now I don't have to be near an FME. Anywhere I am, I could trigger this off, or as Aaron says, I could make this run every night at midnight. There's a scheduler in here, and there it is. And if I look over here, there's a new message.
There's your new email.
And
time to charge the car.
Right. Here's another one that just came. So 0 minutes ago. So that proved it can run up on server.
And you don't have to push that button. That can happen naturally, just to remind you.
Yes. So anyway, that's another side of FME, to do high volumes or a bunch of stuff. All the stuff can be done on a server. So just want to make folks aware that we got our world tour coming up, and we're going to be going to 17 cities.
A lot.
You're on the road this year.
Yeah, we're doing the center portion, which kind of leads up through the center of the North America. What part are you doing there?
I'm doing the West.
Oh, okay.
The West is best.
Okay. Do you hit Seattle? I hit Seattle. I'm not sure.
No, I don't. So I do San Fran, and then actually I duck in. I do a little bit of a crossover because I head into Alberta.
Okay, Calgary, yeah.
And the other team, Craig's team, really it's called, but Craig and Don Murray head off east.
Okay.
And that's what they do.
I'm on the damn mad team, Mark and Aaron and Drew.
Yes.
So
if you liked what you saw today, we have more webinars coming up, and I'm thrilled that today we had relatively few audio issues, other than a little bit of echoing, which we managed to deftly handle. And other than my voice being bad, but that's not an audio issue, that's a Dale Lutz issue. And here I'm going to go into a silent retreat now until the World Tour to heal my voice. But these are some webinars coming up. You can see our recordings there. Definitely this will also be put up and carved up into pieces to be reviewed later on. And we'll just take a quick poll on our training options if anybody would like to know more about some of these free things.
So are you interested in seeing what we have for training options?
Yes. Let us know, and we'll be in touch. There's a lot of free offerings. We do occasionally offer free training on things like special topics like databases.
Absolutely.
Have you ever even taught that one yourself?
I haven't taught that one myself. I've done a KML one, which is, I know it's
that's spatial, though.
That's not what we're talking about today.
Okay.
It is in a form of XML, though. I'm going to go there.
That's true. Okay.
I think we
so
probably...
that's good on that. If we stop too quickly, you can let us know by the chat, and we'll be sending you a nice email to follow up. And so we have just a couple of minutes left.
Let's see.
And so I am going to take a look at the questions. So we're going to go over here, and let's look at the questions. Can we do this? Yes. Okay. So somebody asks, are we going to provide these workspaces? And the answer is yes.
Absolutely.
But we'll take the passwords out first.
That's right.
So that's one thing.
They'll be on the website, yeah.
Can we change time? Well, the time is a tricky issue, Aaron. Now, there are some things in FME to do with dates, I think.
Actually, and there's a new transformer on the FME store that can really help.
Okay,
it's
what
called
do you
the
got?
Date converter.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
so that's an FME store thing, and
it is.
That just shows if I type it, says something about that. If I hit that, ooh, I think
you've grabbed it already. So
right. So there must be a description in here.
And this basically allows you to take any kind of date in any format. You define the input. If you pop up with the properties, you'll see you define the input format, and then you define the output format.
Cool.
So it allows you to convert the time and the date, exactly what the guy what was asked for.
Right. And let's see what other date things we got. We got there's a calculator as well.
Oh, that's a new one. I've not seen that.
Let's see. Looks kind of Python-y.
Yeah, it says Python. Maybe that's
so.
We'll pick a
adds a
different one.
constant number of days to a date. So there's a few things like
that.
that.
Oh, it's like a math. Okay, math for dates.
Anyway, dates. We know dates are big. In fact, I know that there's a pile of work we're going to be doing to beef up our date stuff. What's the honk the horn transformer? Okay, so Robin asked that. That was just an HTTP poster. So if we go back to honk the horn, where's charge me Tesla? Okay, no, we don't save that. Down here was honk car horn. There it is. And so all that is a REST call out to honk horn.
It's passing. Are you passing JSON or are you just calling it?
There's nothing. You just poke that thing and it honks.
You just say honk and it honks.
Yeah.
Wow.
The key thing is you got to put the right vehicle ID in, and you have to be authenticated to the right car.
So you can't honk, let's say, Elon's car.
No, but if he gave me his password, I could. So that's the thing there. So what are miles? Bruce Harold asks. That's an old kind of measure that is 1.6 kilometers. Others have asked that. Swedish miles or something else. I think Swedish miles are 10 kilometers. Anybody from Sweden in? They can say that. So
someone wants to borrow your Tesla. So
okay,
we'll think about it.
They can come if you come to our. There's rumors at our Palo Alto stop we might actually have a Tesla come pay us a visit. Since
Wow.
In San Fran, we're doing our thing in Palo Alto, and that's next door to Tesla. Haven't played with Fusion tables yet, but she plans to. Yes, it's an easy thing to play with. We didn't mention Fusion tables now has a fancy OAuth thing. So let me see if I want to read. I haven't even tried this here, so let's go like this. Google Fusion tables non-spatial. If you want to go to the parameters, you have to now use a fancy OAuth thing. We figured that all out.
And it works well, actually.
And that's a great thing because you don't have to put your password into the workspace anymore.
Yeah.
So that's good, April. Vince is asking. We used the REST API.
Yep.
For the car, and that's what did that.
The next question: what kind of tools can I use for splitting an address?
Ooh.
Well, we've got all kinds of things. We've got a string searcher, which can split things apart, an attribute splitter.
Yes.
We can maybe pop those in.
Okay, let's go taking a look. And
this is a common use case in the non-spatial, is splitting data apart.
Splitting the data. Okay, so wait a minute. So it would be attribute splitter. If I type the word split, I got caps lock troubles. Attribute splitter is probably the guy that we want, right?
Yeah.
And then that's one of them. And actually, there was a webinar done by our friends at OneSpatial on non-spatial. And Roger, we should make sure we include the link to that because they do a bunch of stuff with address fixing in their webinar. But basically, you do this kind of thing, split it by a space, and then you get the pieces out and start flipping through them.
And if you're a regular expression guru, you can use the string searcher and throw in your regular expression.
I do like regular expressions.
I do as well. It's fun to play with them and succeed with them.
Yeah, and you can get pieces out. See, that's actually, then you get them out in their matched parts. You can write. Yeah, I like that. It's really good fun. A bit pearly, but it is fun. So how long does it take to charge my Tesla? It takes usually about an hour every night, but if it was bone dry and I don't have much current in my house, it would take about 8 hours. So thanks, Ted, for that. Where on the web page? We'll send you an email with that. When sending Excel as an output,
okay, sorry.
Yes. Okay, great foreshadowing. Bruce asks us about can he control where we're writing to Excel? And I'm so excited that somebody's asked that because we are in the process right now of rewriting our Excel 100% to allow far more power, and we are going to be able, when we're writing to Excel, to poke into individual cells.
Really?
And so if you had a template Excel with lots of formulas and graphs and things, you use that, and we poke in and update parts, and now you're going to get some kick-ass, I'm not allowed to say that,
we'll
reporting.
Later.
Beep. Okay, but anyway, it's going to be fantastic, and that's coming in SP2. And somebody asked, when is SP1 coming out? How's the server side looking, Aaron?
It's coming out on Tuesday. Actually, both sides are looking really good.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today, for an FME server today. So seriously, I know the desktop's looking good. All the stuff you saw today, I was using SP1 on the desktop side as well. Hey, somebody confirmed that a Swedish mile is 10 kilometers.
And I think we have to end it there in terms of questions. But
yes. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We do appreciate your time. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed the lack of audio. My voice is almost to normal now.
All you have to do is a webinar each day, and you'll be better.
Yes. So thanks so much. This is my last. I've done 3 webinars in every week. My last one for a while. We'll see you on the road at the World Tour, either Aaron or I. But until then, may all your data be non-spatial. So this is Dale, and once again, I'll thank my friends Danny and Chris from Alexandria. Thank you so much for the proof in the pudding that there's some value to this in real world. And we'll call that it from beautiful Surrey, British Columbia. Goodbye.
Take care.